Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt our program of dance music to bring you a special bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News. At 20 minutes before 8 Central Time, Professor Farrell of the Mount Jennings Observatory, Chicago, Illinois, reports observing several explosions of incandescent gas occurring at regular intervals on the planet Mars. The spectroscope indicates the gas to be hydrogen and moving toward the Earth with enormous velocity. Professor Pearson of the observatory at Princeton confirms Farrell's observation and describes the phenomenon as, quote, like a jet of blue flame shot from a gun, unquote. We now return you to the music of Ramon Raquello, playing for you in the Meridian Room of the Park Plaza Hotel, situated in downtown New York.
You can perform, you can submit your music to be played through the PA, so you get a listen, that sort of CDR vibe, where you can kind of get your music listened to and you hear it through that. I've done that a couple of times, to be honest. It'd be great to check a mix. But then the other bit is just come down and be part of the audience, because there's people that I've seen and I don't know the names, but you know, I could like point them out in a lineup sort of thing, like, oh yeah, you've been, like yeah, you've never played, but you're always here, and like you must be a big fan. And another guy that he was there for like 4 or 5 weeks, I was like, he's gonna play one day, this guy. and he came, and it was the Heaton Norris.
Oh, like automatic.
Oh man, and he just blew the roof off. It was amazing. It was like,
that was a curveball.
So here we have, and I'm going to get this right, Heaton Norris light vessel automatic.
Very good.
AKA, wait for this one, Sean. Mate, that was awesome.
Thank you.
It really was. I was kind of monitoring on headphones, and if there's any of the other shots, I was like, oh my word. And it was so good to hear you, like, in this kind of setup. I mean, it was not in front of an audience, which I'm going to ask you about in a sec, which must be strange, but it sounded amazing. So thanks for doing that.
Thank you.
And
it was really nice to play in that environment and hear it, you know, because you don't often hear it with a great sound system and kind of
it was good.
Fuss, yeah. So that's good.
Yeah. So I've heard Sean play at BLEEP, and the last part of your set was a sample of me interviewing the guys from BLEEP about my reaction about seeing and hearing what you did. So that was so funny. But I literally saw Sean play at BLEEP, which obviously we put this together, part of BLEEP, Noodlr, and me and Mike doing this stuff. But I saw you play there, and you literally ripped the roof off. It was amazing. And tonight, it was like this kind of lovely ambient textures and stuff.
Great.
So, yeah, how did you even go about working out how to do that live? What's the sort of mindset? Because for those people who, you know, sort of new to this, you were playing a modular system. So I'll use your terminology.
So a lot of it, I mean, when I put the live sets together, a lot of it starts off as jamming. So I tend to get an idea. I have an idea. Normally I steal an idea from somebody else, because that's the way that I hear something and I think, that's interesting. How do I do that? So I kind of think about how I do it with the modular. You know, how do I make that kind of sound, and how do I do that sort of pattern? And then I just start jamming around it and kind of building the thing up. Funnily enough, one of the things that I do a lot of is I don't do it with the modular. I do it when I'm somewhere else.
Right.
So I ride my bike to work.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm patching and I'm kind of thinking what transitions are going to work there, what sound I want there. Right. So I spend a lot of time away from the machine, kind of thinking about how I'm going to put things together. And then I kind of come in and try and sort of make it how it sounds in my head.
That's amazing. Right, okay. So I was just thinking, so I've heard other people do like compose away from their instrument.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Yeah.
And then the result of you plugging in and trying it, is it always what's in your head? Or does it?
No. I mean, because you can't always get what you want, but there's lots of happy accidents. And I think and
the journey itself.
The modular as well is really good for happy accidents, because it's all these fiddly knobs and buttons and stuff, and you never get them in the same place.
Right.
So you always get a different sound every time you play it. So it's a kind of very organic thing.
Right. Which leads me to something else. I was going to say, like, what have you got next? Have you got any recordings of this? But you're touching on that there.
I've got a few. I do occasionally record stuff, and I put a couple of things up on Bandcamp and so on. But really, I mean, for me, this is sort of primarily a live project.
Yes.
I find recording really stressful.
Yeah.
Because you think, and as well, it's not, I haven't got like multi-track facilities or anything. So everything I'm doing is like a left and right stereo pair out in the machine, and that's it.
Wow.
So if I record stuff, I have to do it all in one take. And that's like,
Yeah.
So at the moment, I'm also just treating it as a live project because I really like doing it, and I like performance.
Awesome. So what we were saying is like one thing I did think about when you were just saying before about how you're doing that. So it's very much a live thing. You're doing that in real time, and you didn't plan it. Or how much did you plan?
It's quite planned out. I mean, you might be able to see. I've got a little notebook, and it's got all the kind
actual
of
notes.
It's got like a score. There's a plan.
Wow.
So it's a mix of very regimented kind of planning and also just a bit of improvisation. So I've got sections. The sequences kind of follow on from one another.
Right.
So I know the general shape of the set. And then as it goes, I'm tweaking the sound and maybe moving on or moving back in slightly different ways depending on how I feel.
Right. Just a quick question that I would ask anyway. Tempo-wise, did you move or not?
Yeah.
I was just drawn in. I didn't really ever think about it.
The first track, I've got to try and remember the number. The first track's, I think it's about 100 BPM or something like that. And the second one's about 124. Yeah. So it kind of shifts up again, which I tend to do with the sets. You start off with a bit kind of ambient wiggly stuff, and then it just bigger and bigger.
And it really did. Yeah. It really did. I was loving it. But I felt like there was a bit of a tempo journey, but I just wanted to check. So for people to actually see this, they're just going to have to come and see it, aren't they? Because you're not really recording.
I'm not really recording. It's for me, it's a live thing. That's what I'm interested in.
So before we let you go, could you just kind of describe a little bit about what was in front of you and what you were doing or what it's called?
Yeah, okay. So it's a modular synth. So it's like if you've got a kind of a normal, like all-in-one synth, it's got different bits to it. It's got an oscillator and a filter and a VCA and envelopes. And all those little pieces are all done by individual units.
Right.
And you can patch things in and out of stuff. So one of the things I'm doing a lot of at the moment is using lots of modulation. So I'm kind of changing the sound as it goes.
Yeah.
And you can do that much more easily with the modular because you've got access to everything. There's a sequencer in there, and there's a sampler and sort of various things as well that are kind of playing some of the audio.
So when you were saying that modulation, for those because it always used to freak me out that word. Yeah. It's basically like
changing the sound
over time. Yeah.
Yeah. So you'll hear in the set there's some things where there's a kind of very gradual change in the filter, and there's some things where it's really stepped. There's that kind of sample and hold thing going on. So all those. You can do all those things really easily with the modular.
Amazing. Yeah. So go and check out the full set. Seeing is believing. Heaton, Norris, Light Vessel Automatic. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Amazing. Loved it.